In the code of the 2005 video game Pathologic, some non-player character scripts contain a routine called Autism. To explain what that means, I'll give a brief summary of some of the underlying technical systems of Pathologic and the modding tools that made finding the exact meaning of autism possible. Pathologic's major characters are equipped with realistic animated heads, which were made with a proprietary piece of software called Life Studio Head. The program and its parent company, Life Mode Interactive, are long since defunct. Life Studio Head's models allow for realistic lip sync and articulated eye movement, but the important feature in this video is their emotion system. When you speak to a major character in Pathologic, their head performs a short looping animation on each dialogue screen. Most of the time, this is a neutral loop, where the character isn't expressing any strong emotion. Depending on what the character is saying, that is, if the player clicks certain dialogue options, the NPC's emotion may change to a different state, where a different animation will loop until the next state change occurs or until dialogue ends. The animations for each emotion are stored in the corresponding character's Life Studio Head animation libraries. And since Life Studio Head has lost media, we have no way to view or edit these files directly. Fortunately, we do have access to metadata controlling how Pathologic plays back the LS Head materials. Because LS Head models are made with independent software, a major NPC's head and body are actually two separate objects, or actors as Pathologic calls them. Every time an NPC is spawned, the game associates the correct head with the body based on its scripts. This is why it's possible to use console commands to spawn a member of the bound with a mismatched head. The body actor controls its own textures and idle animations, while the head actor controls the height to which the player's camera moves during dialogue and all of the LS Head behavior. Therefore, the actor XML file for each character head contains information about its emotions. These files are found in a virtual file system called actors.vfs under Pathologic's data directory, which can be unpacked using various custom tools. VFS Explorer is the most modern. In an actor file, we see eyes height, eye level height off the ground measured in centimeters, the associated animation library files, and finally, a list of each emotion that the character can express. Each animation has a name and a length. The length is usually 10 seconds, with exceptions. For example, Yulia Lyricheva has the emotions neutral, independence, untrust, hope, and fear. All of the bound have the neutral expression in their file, and most of them have 4 unique additional animations. Stanislav Rubin, Peter Stamatin, and Forman Oyun only have 3 custom animations each, while Notkin and Clara each get 5. So, if you take a look at Murky's head actor file, npcmishka.xml, you'll find that alongside neutral, suspicion, fear, and dream, she has the expression autism. It is spelled with a Z, yes. Murky is also autistic in the paratext of the remake Pathologic 2, described in the Pathologic 2 art book as an orphan with an autistic spectrum disorder. The autism emotion confirms in code that she was always intended to be an autistic character. However, she's not the only person in the original Pathologic who has autism. Peter Stamatin and Grace have the autism expression too. Peter's emotional range is neutral, untrust, autism, and drunk, while Grace's emotions are neutral, pain, autism, disturbance, and will die. At least I think it's will die and not well die. Which begs the question, what does autism look like? Emotions may be labeled in actor files, but it's not so easy to find a given emotion in the game. Furthermore, each character's expressions are unique. Even if 2 emotions have the same name, their animations may look totally different. To find out which lines of dialogue cause the autism animation to play, I used several tools from the Pathologic technical community. Changes in emotional state happen inside dialogue scripts, and Pathologic scripts are compiled bytecode, think assembly. When opening these scripts in a hex editor, you might see the emotion names stored near the top of the file, but they're not referenced by name in the script instructions. There's usually 1 dialogue script for each location an actor can be in, for each healer. That is, there are 3 different scripts for the character standing in their own house, plus an extra script for every time they appear in someone's quest. The tool that cracked Pathologic possibilities wide open is Gorkhan Script Editor, an interface which displays script files in a readable format. Alongside many other wonderful features, GSE displays pieces of text whenever they're used in the code. In Peter's default script for the bachelor's route, we see autism mentioned. Here, Peter's script is setting his emotion to autism on a particular dialogue choice. Which line of dialogue causes this expression? That comes from the number listed slightly after the instruction to push the autism string. In Pathologic, each line of dialogue has a numerical ID and the actual text spoken. The ID is what's used in scripts. Dialogue strings and IDs are found in the strings file main.dat, another file with a unique format. Fortunately, main.dat has been unpackable since 2014 with the release of some video guy's Pathologic tool. One of the project's Python scripts allows users to convert the dialogue data into a readable XML file. To distinguish dialogue from other text, such as map tooltips, dialogue string IDs are numbered between 500,000 and 599,999. If we track down string number 507443 from Peter's bachelor route script, we see that it corresponds to the following line. "Can't you see what I've managed to build here? Where else would I be allowed to do something like this? Everything that I have ever called my purpose has been brought to life in this town. For now, I have no reason to leave it. I haven't finished my observations yet. I'm this close to figuring it out." But when does this line appear in-game, and under what conditions? I found it easiest to track it down to the conversation level using the Pathologic Dialogue GitHub page. This website displays all dialogue trees, as generated from the underlying scripts, in interactive, collapsible menus. Because the options are generated out of code, Pathologic Dialogue doesn't miss anything that can appear in-game. And because of the numerous collapsible menus, my hack for finding the actual line location was to open the page source code in my browser and Ctrl F for that one specific line. This reveals that the autism-containing line in question is 5 exchanges deep in a conversation which starts with the line, "I can't shrug away the feeling that someone's scratching at the windowsill." Expanding the rest of the dialogue branch, we see that the line is found on day 2 as part of the Let's Run side quest. By using console commands, we can skip through the bachelor's first day and the early stages of Let's Run to arrive at Peter's house as soon as possible. And upon selecting the relevant dialogue options, we can see exactly what Peter's autism looks like. He looks away and up, occasionally glancing at the player, but with no direct eye contact. Using the same methods, I tracked down autism in Murky and Grace. All 3 characters' autism animations are slightly different. Murky's autism involves her looking directly forward, raising and lowering her head slightly. Grace's is much more still, and lasts for 15 seconds instead of the regular 10-second loop. Please enjoy this brief interlude where I display a green screen of each autism animation. If you'd like, you can download this video and cut a clip that's exactly 10 or 15 seconds long to add looping autism to your own video projects. For explanation's sake, I make green screens by spawning the NPCs in the warehouses under the correct conditions to set the autism state, replacing the warehouse wall texture with a green image, and setting the game's lighting to maximum through the console. And is that all the autism we can find? I did confirm that no other characters interact with the autism expression. grepwin is a useful tool to search inside files, including the compiled bytecode scripts. Upon searching autism, it detects that it's mentioned in the following files. Peter can express autism in dialogue with every healer, in generic dialogue with the Bachelor and Changeling, and in quest-specific dialogue with the Haruspecs. Grace and Murky, however, only express autism in dialogue with the Bachelor and Haruspecs, and not with the Changeling. This makes sense, considering that the Changeling's route barely involves these characters, and the Haruspecs' route barely involves Peter. In summary, Murky, Grace, and Peter are all unambiguously autistic in the original Pathologic. If you like the subject matter of this video, show some love to the data miners who made the tools necessary to track autism down. If you liked anything else about this video, follow me here on Twitch or on Tumblr for more. You can find more technical information and some of my tutorials about pathologic systems on the Pathologic modding wiki at pathomodding.mirahees.org. Please also feel free to ask questions in this video's comments. Lastly, please do not support Icepick Lodge until they release a public statement on Studio Lead Dybovsky's misconduct. See you next time.